In a world filled to the brim with podcasts, one comedian rose from the ashes. After exactly 1 year from his last podcast recording, he brought one of the greatest podcast episodes known to man. One-liner comedian Sean Hegarty returns with one of the greatest podcasts known to man. He started from the bottom, now he's here. The Comedy Cabin. Episodes being recorded every Monday, even though the first episode's being recorded on a Sunday because he doesn't want it to go tits up on the Monday, and then he doesn't release it as promised. 20th Century Fox, the BBC, Netflix, loads of other corporations that refused him in the past. But he will not be turned down. His voice will not be deleted. He returns for a brand new podcast. This is The Comedy Cabin. Available where you get your podcasts by searching Sean Hegarty Podcasts on your podcast provider. It's time to do it. In cinemas Thursday. That was completely off the cuff, by the way. I've never rehearsed that. That just came to me. I wanted a way to start the podcast, and what a more epic way. My throat's fucked now. What a more epic way to start the podcast than by pretending to be a cinema trailer sound effects guy. And by the way, if you can hear me like constantly farting, that's actually I have a little like computer chair here. Just if you can hear those little creaks in the background, in case you think there's like two dwarves having sex under the table, it's definitely just me. Not having sex on the table, but just the noise is just me. Anyway, we'll start the podcast, will we? Welcome to the Comedy Cabin. It's time to do it. Episode 1. Yes. Never thought it would happen since lockdown. Well, we'll get on all that. We'll just start. Well, let's just start. Here we go. Roll the intro. Yes, episode 1, you're very welcome. This is the Comedy Cabin with me, Sean Hegarty, recording this live. I'll not be putting this out live, obviously, but it will be going out. I have fucked my throat from the very start just by doing that voice. I am available for cinema trailers, by the way, if anyone wants to hire me for their movie. But this is it. This is the first episode. I'm not going to lie, it's bitterly cold in here. I turned on the heating about 10 minutes ago, and the temperature beforehand was 2 degrees. Now it's at 6, so we are getting there slowly. Just in case you see my rock hard nips peeping through my Under Armour and my t-shirt and this jumper that I'm wearing as well. I have a little radiator beside me as well, which is nice. Got this radiator yesterday. My wife bought me it because I've been using like a blow heater and it's costing us like fucking 40 quid a day. So it's the best I can do. Got a hot chocolate with me as well. I'll talk you through my setup, will I? It's episode 1. I may as well begin right at the beginning. I built this cabin about just over 2 years ago. I built it in August 2018, which sounds like it was 2 weeks ago, but it's well over 2 years ago. And I wasn't going to the Edinburgh Fringe that year, and I wanted to do something that was really kind of productive and just sort of put myself to the test, because I feel like every time I perform stand-up comedy, I am putting myself to the test, because it's just not in my DNA to be up and performing and being a showman and jazz hands and writing and performing. And I've always felt like it's not really me, but I just fell into it and I started doing it just I don't know what I started doing it for. Maybe a bit of attention, a bit of. I started writing jokes, and I was listening to comedy podcasts, and I just thought, you know what, I can do this. There was some of the podcasts and some of the comedians that I was listening to. It was like when I first started. You're talking maybe 2008, 2007, I think, when I started, and when I did, I was working in a nursing home at the time. I went from this is how the cabin was made to when I fucking started doing stand up. In 5 minutes, I'll be talking about my first ever shit in Abbey. But yeah, I started listening to comedy podcasts when I was working in a nursing home. I was working overnight, and I would slip the odd like just to make myself happier. No, I would slip a little earphone in, and I would listen to it just throughout the night, just because I was working off on my own, doing bits of laundry and cleaning and stuff. And I just thought after a while I would download some comedy. It was coming up to the Edinburgh Fringe. Started listening to comedy then, and then when the Edinburgh Fringe happened, I think it was E4 started releasing all these like comedians podcasts, or comedians like live sets, but they were like 3 or 4 minute snippets. So there was the likes of Jim Owen and Andrew Maxwell and loads of people like that, Gary Tank Commander, and loads of other comedians. And I started listening, and after a while I was like, do you know what, I could do this. I feel like I could do this, almost like it was my calling. And as I was sort of listening to other people telling jokes and rhyming off their stories and stuff, I was like, I'm gonna start writing my own material down. So every time I would think of something even remotely funny, I would just save it on a little sort of notepad on my phone or write it down on a page, and I would sit down maybe once or twice a week and just kind of sort of sculpt it into like a sort of mini set mainly. And I knew that all I had to do was just get maybe 5 minutes together, and I could at least make a start and get on stage. So that's what I did. Went to the Edinburgh Fringe then the next year. I think that's how long it took, maybe the next year. Convinced my brother to go with me, and when we were over there, I says to him, here, I'm going to get up on stage and do a bit of stand up here. And he was like, nah, no you're not. And I was like, I fully am. I'm going to try this. And I went and I tried it, and I didn't die on my ass, because it was like 2 in the morning and there was about 6 people in the audience, and I'm almost certain half of them were unconscious. So I gigged to 2 or 3 people, and when I left the stage I was like, the nerves got the better of me. But you know what, I feel like the nerves are gone now. I feel like I had enough nerves that probably lasted 20 gigs. So the next night I was like really determined. I was like, I'm going to put my name down on an open mic list here, on an open mic night, and I put my name on the list. And I got up, and I must have did 15-20 minutes. And the second night I was just filled with adrenaline and just determined to prove myself wrong, that I could actually do this, and prove myself right at the same time. So it came from there, went home and just started gigging and gigging and gigging. Then people just sort of got wind of it and started booking me and things like that. But so yeah, it would have been I probably gigged at the Edinburgh Fringe now, I'd say maybe 7 times, maybe 8. And 2 years ago I was planning on going, but last minute I decided not to. And I was just reading Twitter all day and like seeing all these comedians doing gigs and promoting each other's gigs, and I was like, do you know what, I need to do something here. I need to sort of go back to where it all started and figure shit out for myself and go, what can I do here that's going to give me a bit of self-worth? So what I did then, right? What I did then, I'd spent maybe the past 6 months before that watching loads of like adventurers and hikers and campers and people like that, and I would just stick the odd video on when I was going to sleep, and it would sort of just help me relax and unwind, and it sort of give me that kind of nice warm feeling that I was snuggled up in bed while these lads were all out lighting fires trying to stay warm in minus 30 degree temperatures in Canada or something. So what I did then was I started watching this guy called TA Outdoors, which is what does TA stand for? I'll try and remember for you, right? But the guy was called TA Outdoors, and he started building a cabin out of pallet wood. And I was like, here, that's a good shout, because you can get pallets for free or for next to free. So I just went for it. I started sort of watching the videos religiously. He put them up in like step-by-step guides of what to do. And I was like, yeah, I've never done anything like this before. So I spent about, I'm not going to lie, I spent about 100 quid, maybe 200 quid on tools all I had before was like a hammer or a hatchet or something. So I bought all these like tools, like a pallet breaker and things like that, and went on from there. Bought all the nails, all the screws, hooks, and all things like that, and just started one day and put it together in about 10 or 11 days, and it has it was definitely almost like a dream come true kind of feeling when I finally got the roof on and I came in and I turned a lamp on, and the things just kind of progressed from there. And I've spent 2 years in it now, like sort of just it's almost like a wee kind of bug out cabin out the side of my house, and I love it. The only thing is, the only problem I've ever had, there's no damp or anything, no damps in. I've got it like carpeted on the floor. It's not insulated, obviously. There's a bit of kind of, you might be able to see stuff around me where there's like, do you know, that foamy spray, and it's really, it's shit, and it makes the place look really ugly. I think it's for, you put that down, then you put like a board over the top of it. But obviously I want to kind of keep the aesthetic, you know, I want to keep it looking like it is a mini kind of log cabin and stuff, and it's really ticked all my boxes the past few years. But the past couple of months it hasn't really been used because it was coming into winter, and I like my kind of home comforts and stuff. I was like, I need to do something with this. And I sat down last week and I was like, right, I'm sick of watching the news. We're going into another lockdown. Let's give the people what they want. Another podcast, because there aren't as many out there as there used to be. There used to be 3, now there's 3 million at least. But it's something I've done for ages. It's something I'm really passionate about. I would love to podcast every single day of the week if I had enough stories that would accommodate. But I've kind of had an idea of doing a podcast for the past 3 to 4 months at least, even since before when the first lockdown hit. But just confidence and everything, just my confidence was knocked, I think, with the first lockdown. I lost so much work. Myself and Diona, my wife, lost so much work, and I kind of just wasn't feeling it. I was like, it was unfamiliar territory going into this the first sort of wave of the pandemic, and I just kind of thought, like, I need to focus on being happy before I can make anybody else happy. Do you know what I mean? I need to kind of regroup again and kind of just sort of make sure my kids are all right, and make sure my wife's obviously all right, and just make sure we can provide for ourselves and each other, and kind of just ride the first wave out and just see how everything was going to pan out, because everyone thought when we first got into it that it was going to be 2 or 3 weeks, but little did we know it was going to be 5 or 6 months, and it was crazy. Then you had all your conspiracy theorists who were debating whether it was even a real thing, or people, all that mask bullshit about whether or not it's okay to wear a mask or you shouldn't wear a mask or whatever, yada yada yada. And coming into this lockdown, I was like, I had regrets from the last one that I didn't do anything creative or proactive apart from like running and keeping fit and things like that, just for my own kind of mental health and well-being. I thought, like, if at least if I wake up every day and feel good about myself, or without feeling guilty or ashamed or anything, then I would be fine. So going into this one, I was like, I really want to start a podcast, but I just didn't know what the podcast about. I know that a lot of them now have to be kind of niche, and they have to be like, you know, we're going to talk about memories from childhood, we're going to talk about nostalgia, we're going to talk about true crime, we're going to whatever it may be. There's millions and millions of categories now, but I just thought, you know what, and if you take one thing from even checking out this podcast, and if this is the only episode you ever watch, you have to start something. You're going to have doubts in your head all the time, but doubts are so much easier to deal with than regrets, because you can't change your regrets. They're things that have happened in the past that you can no longer change. So my advice to anyone who wants to start anything, whether it's playing hockey, whether it's Irish dancing, whether it's joining a marching band, whether it's wanting to take up singing, whether it's a musical instrument, an artist, whatever you want to do, you have to go and do it. And the main thing is persistence too, which is what I've learned from even my early days in doing stand-up and creating comedy characters and things like that, is you just have to persist. You just have to keep going and going and going and going, and eventually things will work out how you envisioned them in your mind. Envisioned, yeah, that's the word. So if you take anything from this, just you have to make a start. You have to. That's the main thing. But that's the story about this anyway. That's the story about the cabin. It's really lovely. I really love spending time in here. It's really heartwarming, and it's nice to come into somewhere and go, you know what? I built this. I made this myself with no experience. And ever since then as well, ever since I built this is one of the first kind of hands-on thing I've ever done. And ever since that, I've fixed all kinds around my house. I've fixed bunk beds, and I've fixed the toilet. I've fixed the shower head. I've put on a shower rail thing with a big glass frame. I've put loads of things into my house and around my house, and I've done up a caravan, and I feel like now I'm at the point where I can do anything, and I can achieve anything within my house. I don't need to go and pick up the phone as soon as something happens and go, I need a plumber. I'm like, no, I'll watch a YouTube tutorial, or I'll get somebody to teach me online, and then I'll go and I'll do it for free, and I'll save the money. Started making oat milk and stuff myself as well, which is a lot easier to make than you think, but it's lovely in coffee and stuff. But there you go. That's the story of the cabin, and we're going to be here for the next, well, forever, hopefully, but we're going to be here for the next while at least, making podcasts. And before we get into stuff as well, I have a few segments that I'm going to do throughout this, but one of the things that I wanted to sort of touch on was there's a new kind of thing on Facebook where for like paid subscribers, people can now subscribe on Facebook and pay like a monthly fee or a monthly whatever, just like Patreon. And with mine, it's like $3.50 a month or something like that. I think you can pay more, but I think you can start at like $3.50 a month. So for the price of paying to like buy me a coffee once a month, which is small in terms of like how much coffee is, how much anything's worth these days online. You giving me $3.50 a month would go a really long way. And I'm going to put up a little kind of banner now, but if you want to donate, there's a couple of ways you can do this, right? You can go onto Facebook if you're on Facebook. I know a lot of people aren't anymore, but if you want to go onto Facebook, what you can do is send me a private message or whatever if you can't figure this out. But as far as I know off memory, what you can do is you can go into my Facebook page and you can sign up as a subscriber, and it's $3.50 a month. And what I'm going to be doing is offering loads of different things in the future. Obviously we can't do live shows and stuff, but when we do live shows, what I'm going to do is everybody that signs up at the start, I'm going to give them free tickets to live podcasts that I do in the future, maybe even live shows. I'm a generous guy. I'll see what I can do, but that's what I'm going to do to start off. And I'm going to offer people an opportunity as well where I do a podcast strictly for paid subscribers once a week, which I'll probably do on like a Wednesday night or a Friday night, where people can have drinks, people can live interact. I can put up your comments on the screen. We'll have a chat back and forth. I'll bring on a few of you as guests if you want. I can roast you. We can do loads of different things. We can have joke offs. We can have a great time basically, and we could sort of get through lockdown together. So if you want to do that, just go on to Facebook and you can click like a subscribe button on my page just by searching my name. Another way to do it is down here. Here? Yeah, down here. You can go to ko-fi.com/hegpod, and you can support me that way as well. I think the minimum donation is £3, and it's a one-off payment. So you send me £3, it goes instantly into my bank account, and it goes a long way. It means I can pay for heating in here. It means I can get the place maybe insulated. I can buy a proper camera. I can buy loads of proper equipment, and we'll have a great time. So, I was going to say something adieu. What is it? Something adieu. Something adieu or adieu. I have no idea. Anyway, we'll get into the segments, will we? First segment I'm going to do for you. This is what's been going on this week. I'm going to share a little video with you too. This is good fun. Here we go.
I'm going to say what I've been doing. I'm going to tell you right now I'm cool. I'm going to say what's going on this week. Sit back, relax, and you'll see.
Yes, what's been going on this week? This is a segment that I'm going to be doing, which will just basically talks about a bit of my private life, talking to you about gigs that I've done, things that I've done just with my family and stuff. Like as people may or may not know that myself and my wife Diona are expecting a little baby, which is fucking super exciting. Like, I literally am counting the seconds, and Diona is as well. So I know people have sort of been asked about sort of being kept in the loop about how Diona's doing and what sort of time scale we're sitting at and stuff. So we're just touching on 30 weeks, I think, this Thursday, which will be 30 weeks. I think we hit the third trimester last Thursday, which was 29 weeks. So we're absolutely buzzing. We really are. We know it's going to be a girl as well. We found out around, I'm going to say 16 weeks. It could have been off by a couple of weeks there, but I'm pretty sure it was around 16 weeks or 20 weeks maybe that we found out that we were going to have a girl. So we were absolutely buzzing. We did one of those things where you go for a private scan, because I don't think they like telling you now when you're in the hospital, just in case it's not right. So what they did was you pay for a private scan, and they pretty much have a good old check down there and just make sure it either has male parts or girl parts. And what they did was they told us, or we asked them not to tell us, and we bought like a baton that was like 10 quid or something, and inside it, you can't see what's inside it, but it's either got blue kind of tassel-y things like paper confetti, or it has pink. So the lady found out, and she was like, yep, I know exactly what it is, no problem. Wrote it down the page, sent it out to a girl in the front office and stuff, and she handed us the baton that was just covered in like silver foil. And we went, picked my kids up from school early, brought it home, and did a wee kind of mini gender reveal party just for us five, and it was beautiful. We're still actually finding little bits of pink confetti all over the house, but it's mind-blowing. Like, I have 3 boys myself, and I think just having a girl in the home too is just going to change the whole dynamic of the house. Everything's just fighting each other and wrestling and adrenaline and just male aggressiveness, and I think a little girl and a little baby as well, because my youngest is 11, so I have an 11-year-old, a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old now, and I really just think it's going to change the whole dynamic of the house. I think it's going to change just who they are as boys and as men, and I think they're going to be so protective of their new little sister, and I really am buzzing. I can't wait. We have 10 weeks left to go, maybe less, maybe a week or so more, but absolutely delighted. Can't wait. But my son, as I was talking about, my son celebrated his 17th birthday last week. Like, I have a 17-year-old. That baffles me. That absolutely baffles me, and still to this day scares the shit out of me that I am responsible for one person, let alone 3, let alone soon to be 4. So it was my son's birthday. I'm recording this on the Sunday night, which is the 10th. It was his birthday there on Thursday, which is the 7th of January. And what do you get a 17-year-old? That's what I wondered. This is what I've been wondering for the past few weeks. I'd been searching on Google. I'd been searching on like Pinterest and stuff as like gifts for 17-year-old male or boys, and just having a good rummage about the internet trying to figure out something. And in the end, this is what I got him. Check this video out, right? I filmed him opening his last present. I'll talk to you when we come back, but have a look at this. What'd you get? What'd you get, James? Let me see. 30! 30!
I'll see you this summer.
You! What do you get a 17-year-old? 30 condoms. That's what you get him. Unbelievable. I was so proud of myself. I say it's good fun getting a 17-year-old condoms, but I didn't go into the shop and buy them. I just bought them on Amazon Prime. I was like, am I going into a shop and asking someone behind the counter if I can buy condoms, or going down and picking them from a shelf and being embarrassed when there's a tag left inside it and somebody has to go and remove it through some device in a supermarket? I'm like, I'm not taking any chances whatsoever. So I bought these condoms, and I think, do you know what the worst thing about it was? That my kids they're partially being raised by TikTok at the minute, right? And they're just all they want to do is just watch TikTok videos, and they're just lying down half the day, just scrolling, just like battery hens. And I I was absolutely horrified. They says, like, my son, you heard him there, Charlie's 13, and he was like, "What are they? They're tissues." I was like, I would have got him tissues last year for his birthday, if you know what I mean, skeet skeet. But once we showed him, and once I pressed stop on the video, they were like, "What are they?" And we showed them to my other two boys, and they were like, "Oh, they're condoms." And I'm like, "What the fuck did you just say? Condoms? Like, what part of America were you raised in? Who calls them condoms?" That's the TikTok sort of that's how everyone is now. That's how all our kids are going to talk. My kids say diapers, they say parking lot, they say trash, they say all that shit, and I have to constantly correct them all the time. I'm like, stop going on TikTok. I know I keep screaming this at them when pretty much I could just take their phones from them or tell them to remove their TikTok accounts from their phone. But if they're not on TikTok, then they get slagged because their mates are on TikTok, or somebody sees something and they're like, "No, I didn't see it. I'm not on TikTok." They get slagged, they get bullied, they can get beaten up. Who knows? That's probably drastic, but there we go. Does that make me a cool dad now? I think it does. Buying my son condoms, I think it does make me a cool dad. I like to think it does anyway, because I think in my house what we always try and do is just try and break the stigma all the time. I talk to my kids all the time, like really, really openly. And what I do is I discuss like sexuality and stuff with them, and contraception. And because myself and Diona have gone through IVF, we've talked openly about IVF entirely from beginning to end and every step of the process, and we've told them all about it. We've told them what it entails, what part goes where, and what gets put together, and what goes inside, and how a baby's formed, how a baby's made naturally, and how we've had to get it done during this process. And I think that's one of the things that I pride myself on as a father, that I can honestly talk openly and freely to my kids about anything now, which is great because I've done it from such an early age. And we talk to them, like every time we speak to them, we say, and when you grow up, if you're going to end up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a wife, we always throw them sort of terms out that, that you don't have to label anything. You can be who you want to be. I always tell them, be yourself, wear whatever you want, do what makes you happy, because first and foremost, that's what we want for our kids, is for them to be happy. So I'm sure my son will be happy with 30 condoms. I told him to keep at least 6 of them in his wallet at all times, so fingers crossed he does that. Not that he's going to be pumping anything during this lockdown, or at least I hope, but there you go. So that's pretty much what we got up to this week. Apart from that, we've just been walking about. We've just been homeschooling. Homeschooling is painful, isn't it? Depending on what school your kids go to. I know a lot of people do this like Zoom classes every hour on the hour, and I kind of wish that my kids got to do that, because it's pretty much just this is how my kids homeschool, right? They just sit down at the computer, type for 20 seconds, and go, "That's me done for the day." And I'm going into their Google Classroom and I'm like, "Please, someone show me some kind of work here." And there's just nothing. There's nothing. And I feel like my kids' schools failing them every week, where at the minute they do have quite a bit of work. They had a bit of work build up, but at the start of the week it was like, please just give them work, because constantly I'm just sitting there going, can you just do your work so that I can do my work? Because obviously I need to do work as well during the week. I need to prepare for stuff. I need to write. I need to record some things. I need to do voiceovers. I need to do whatever I'm doing that week. And I cannot possibly homeschool you. But the reason, first and foremost, mainly why I don't want to homeschool them, because I don't know half the things that they're being taught. I really don't know. And there's nothing more embarrassing when your kid says to you, like, "Daddy, who invented the telephone?" And you're like, "Tony Vodafone." You're like, "I don't know, just fucking write it down, doesn't matter." And they're like, "Alexa, who invented the telephone?" And then Alexa's like, "The telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell." And you're like, I think that's right. That could be wrong. He could have invented something else, and I've just made a dick out of myself. But Alexa always scunders you, doesn't she? She always is out to embarrass you, and it's so shit now, because you just Nobody can compete with technology. Nobody. Alexa knows everything, and it's so unfair, and it's really making us look like shit. Because growing up, whatever your parents said was gospel. That was it. No matter what your parents said to you, it was just, yeah, my dad's right. My dad knows everything. Whereas nowadays, nobody knows anything because it's all online. The truth is out there, and kids can find it in the press the press of a button. Unbelievable. Did we get up to anything else this week? No, I've talked about my son's birthday. I talked about homeschooling. Talked about our wee baby that's on the way as well, which we're absolutely buzzing for. Will we do... Do you know what? We'll do some jokes because we haven't done any jokes yet. Everything's been quite sort of serious for the first episode, so we'll do a couple of jokes here. You might have seen this or heard this if you've been listening to my podcast from a year or two ago. It's top 5 jokes of the week. Here we go.
It's the top 5 jokes of the week. It's the top 5 jokes of the week. It's the jokes of the week, and I hope they're not cake.
Alright, so how I like to do this is, rather than just tell you 5 jokes that I've come up with in the last week, what I like to do is there's a website that I go onto, and it's like a national calendar, so it tells me every day of the week what the national days are. Do you know the way sometimes you get like National Hugging Day and National National Wear a Pair of Trainers Day and things like that? So I've went on to that, and I've got one for every day of the week, and that whatever day of the week it is, I'm going to base that joke around that subject. So let's go. The first one, Monday the 11th, which is when this will go out, is actually National Milk Day. So here's my joke about milk. I remember the first time I was ever breastfed. I remember the first time I was ever breastfed. That was a trip down Mammary Lane. Mammary Lane. Insert your own whenever you want. Tuesday the 12th of January is National Kiss a Ginger Day. I was asked to control the sound last year at an Ed Sheeran concert. I turned it down. You're welcome. Wednesday the 13th is National Sticker Day. In school I gave myself the nickname Shit Decal, but it never stuck. You'll wake up at 4 in the morning going, shit decal. Oh, it never stuck. Thursday 14th is National Dress Up Your Pet Day. Last Halloween I dressed my dog up as a trouser leg and dry humped him. See how he fucking likes it. And last but not least, Friday the 15th is National Hat Day. And believe it or not, I used to wear hats like Tommy Cooper when I first started doing stand-up. You know, I wanted to emulate my hero, so I started wearing hats just like his. But it was just a phase. Just a phase. F-E-Z. And those are my top 5 jokes of the week.
It's the top 5 jokes of the week. It's the top 5 jokes of the week. It's the jokes of the week, and I hope they're not cake.
And I hope they're not cake. One of the things that I might do, you know, like a segment for the PED podcast that I might do down the line? What I might do is a segment where I tell you like the last 5 jokes that I've written, which I think would be very interesting, because especially when it's going to be interactive and there's going to be like comments up on screen, and anybody who's listening or watching can be brought into the stream. It'd be nice to kind of get some live feedback, or just some feedback in general as to how the new jokes are, because obviously with comedy clubs and stuff closed now, you've no way of finding out if a joke's funny or not. I'm putting stuff on Twitter, and an hour later I'm going back to it and I'm like, ooh, do I know how to write jokes anymore? Because you just forget. Your brain turns to mashed potatoes, so it's really, really hard. But there we go. That's top 5 jokes of the week, and I'll have another top 5 jokes of the week for you next week as well. Now it's time for my views on the news.
My views on the news, my views on the news. Do you want my views? My views on the news. Do you want my views on the news? My views on the news. Do you want my views? Do you want my views? Do you want my views on the news?
And yeah, what better way to start my views on the news this week than Donald Trump being banned from Twitter? I think he's actually banned from all social media now, isn't he? I think he is. I wish he was fucking banned from the news as well. What a cretin, isn't he? Donald Trump. What a wee her. He needs to just go fucking take his money now and just move to an island somewhere and just, that's it. Just don't bother anyone. Just move to Bundoran. Do you know what I mean? Move to Bundoran for the other 9 months a year when nobody goes because the weather's shit. Like, do that and just spend all your money. Keep all the nice people up in Bundoran happy with your custom, your local, buying your fucking candy floss and going on those wee shit rides on the down by the arcade, and just go and live your life. Surely you've achieved everything. Like, surely he's so egotistical. He needs everyone to be talking about him, whether it's good or bad. And one thing I've noticed as well is, see it with Twitter and with social media. People like, what do you call your girl that everyone hates? What do you call your woman? Don't tell me I'm going to have to Google this. I'm going to have to Google this. There's a woman who literally nobody likes. Is it Kate? I know people watching this now are just screaming her name at the TV going, this is her name. How do I not know? How do I... Fuck off. Well, you know the woman anyway, right? It'll come to me at some point. But the woman who I'm talking about, the likes of her and Donald Trump and people like that. Obviously, Donald Trump's the president now, or for the next week or two, so this doesn't really apply to him. But for the woman that I'm talking about, who makes beyond a living by just spurting shite and just spurting hatred and everything that comes with it, right? The reason that she is so not popular, but the reason why she gets so much work, not as much anymore, I think, but the reason she did was because she trended every single time she was on a TV show. And anyone who works in daytime TV knows that the biggest thing that can happen to your TV show is that you're trending on Twitter. That's the biggest thing, because more people are talking about it. So the best thing you can do is, people are going on every time they see her on TV, and they're like, I don't know how anyone books her to be on TV. I don't know why people keep talking about her. But you are feeding into that. That name of hers is being thrown into the fucking Twitter vault. And every time someone mentions her name, it builds her stock up and up and up and up. And then she trends every single time she's on something. It's like Piers Morgan. It's like, if you don't like Piers Morgan, the best thing you can do is ignore him. Just stop talking about him. I actually don't mind him. I don't mind him. He's a good broadcaster. I know he's done some dark shit in his career in the past, but in recent times he gets answers. I'm not going to lie, right? He's the reason I would watch Good Morning Britain. See, if he's not on, I'm almost not bothered. It's like vanilla. It's like, all right, you could take it or leave it. You don't know who you're getting that day. You don't know what guests are going to come on, but you know when Piers Morgan's on, there's going to be war. There's going to be fire. There's going to be fucking opinions that are thrown about that are maybe not popular, but things have to be said. And Piers Morgan's the one that gets answers from people. And he doesn't stop. He's relentless. But all we have to do is just stop talking about these people and they go away. That's what you have to do. So glad to see the back of Trump, to be honest. Really glad to see the back of him. I actually have mates who follow Donald Trump on Twitter. And I actually went on the other day to search for him, and it was just before he got deleted, because he had like 12 hours or something to delete all these tweets, or he was going to get cancelled forever off Twitter. And I have mates who actually followed him, and I was like, why? I texted him, I was like, why do you follow Donald Trump? And he was all, it's good crack, he's a fucking hater. I was like, he is a hater, so's fucking Joseph Fritzl, but I'm not going to go down to his basement and play PS5 with him. Like, what are you doing? Stop feeding this fucking ego monster. That's what you have to do. Is stop feeding him. Like, where is he going to spout his shite next? That's what I want to know. Where's he going after this, now that he doesn't have a voice anymore? I guarantee he pops up on Bebo. I guarantee he will pay to bring Bebo back. I guarantee it. And no joke, see if he does, I loved Bebo. If he does, 100% he's going to my top 16 friends. I love Bebo. But there's another thing I wanted to show you as well. Now, hopefully this doesn't get me into trouble, because I'm going to share my screen here, right? But I'm going to show you a video that has been posted on, I'm going to give full credit, this is posted on InsideEdition.com, right? And you may or may not have heard of this story, but this is heartbreakingly sad, but it is also hilariously brutal. It's not hilariously brutal is the wrong term, because it's not really funny, But there was an actress who died twice this week. I don't know if you heard it. Her name is Tanya Roberts, right? And I'm going to share my screen because there's a bit of a news story here. But if you didn't hear this, this was bananas, right? She was in hospital apparently, and her husband was at her bedside, and she slipped into like a deep coma, or whatever happened, and her husband left the room and he was in tears, and he had been told she died, I think, and he went home and he was like, oh, this is really sad. He posted online about her, or he told some news channel or something, and next thing someone phoned him and was like, here mate, she's still alive. And it was mad. I follow like showbiz news and stuff just for the radio and just for, you know, just for stories and for topical jokes and stuff that I could write. And I read this and I was like, this is bananas. This girl, it was fully out that she had died, and then next thing you know, she's still alive, and then the next day she died, and it was like fucking mind blowing. What is going on? Like, so I'm going to share this with you. This is, her husband was doing an interview with a news channel, which I think it was Inside Edition or some news network maybe, and the guy was recording the interview, and he actually got a phone call to say that his wife was still alive. Like, what the actual fuck? I'm going to share this with you here, right? Give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to share this. You have to see this, and fingers crossed this doesn't get me taken down or deleted or whatever before I've even got started. Right, so I'm sharing the screen here, right? So here we go. Check this out. This is bananas. Here we go.
Stephen Fabian got quite a shock while speaking with her boyfriend.
Mystery surrounds the medical condition of Charlie's Angels actress Tanya Roberts, who was reported to have died yesterday and then today was said to be alive. Tanya suddenly collapsed on Christmas Eve after walking her 2 dogs. Newspapers across the nation today carried reports of her death. And I was interviewing her longtime boyfriend, Lance O'Brien, when the shocking, almost impossible to believe news came in that Tanya was alive.
Now you're telling me that she's alive? Oh, thank the Lord. Thank God.
He says Tanya did not have COVID, but was placed on a ventilator because she was struggling to breathe. He says due to COVID-19 protocol, he was not allowed to be at her hospital bed at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center to comfort her until what he thought were her final hours yesterday.
What just happened, Lance? What was that?
The hospital's telling me she's alive. And they're calling me from the ICU.
So the hospital just called you right now and told you that Tanya is still alive?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
What? How mental? How much does that pull on your heartstrings and play with your emotions? Like, imagine that had happened to you. Absolutely brutal. And then finding out a day later that she had actually died, like not at that time, but she died after that. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. That is one of the most mind-blowing stories of 2021, and we're only a week in. Absolutely unbelievable. And another mind-blowing thing as well. The Weekend, right? And I'm not talking about Weekend. I'm talking about Weeknd, the actual artist, the singer called The Weeknd. Have you seen what he's done to his face? Like, I cannot believe it. I really cannot believe it. I still think this is a joke. I told Diona the other day and she was like, no way. I showed her the picture. She was like, there's not a chance in hell that is now his new face. But I'm nearly certain it is, right? I'm going to share. I'm going to show you this, right? What do you see? This is what I think he looks like. So that's him, right? What do you see this? Woo! 100% the guy from Saw, isn't it? Woo! Woo! Like that. Look at him. What have you done, mate? What have you done? What have you done to your face? He's the spit of, what do you call the thing? I've it written down here. Billy from Saw. That's the name of it. Unbelievable. Who gets plastic surgery to look like that? It is absolutely mind-blowing. I can't feel my face when I'm with you, 'cause it's plastic. That's what his fucking song should be. Don't get plastic surgery, kids, whatever you do. He has fucking completely ruined his face, the wee critter. whatever you do, do not get plastic surgery. Tell you why. Because see, when you die, your family won't bury you. They'll just fuck you into the green bin. That's what they'll do. There'll not be a burial. You'll just go to the fucking recycling plant and go, there's our Seamus. He's in there somewhere. Aye. He's probably a fucking jug or something now. Or I don't know. He's gone from looking like the weekend to looking like fucking Monday morning. Tell you, that's what I look like every morning before I have a coffee. Unbelievable. I think he's the spit of Billy from Saw now. Who wants to look like that? Like, who wants to look like that? It is absolutely unbelievable. Mind blowing. So whatever you do, kids, do not get plastic surgery. You're fine looking how you are. Do not do it. And ladies and gentlemen as well, just please don't get them. Please don't get plastic surgery. I don't know. I kind of feel like I saved the best to last there. It's the only time I've laughed this episode. I promise you there's going to be more laughs in the future. I'm just getting up and running. It's going to take me a wee while to find my feet, but once I find my feet and find my voice, we're going to be... there's going to be no stopping us. I'm going to be raking in 30, 40 quid a week from all this. It's going to be pure heaven. There's another thing as well, right? This again, I just before I came out here, the FA Cup's on this weekend, and this is sort of football related, but not football related at the same time, right? And it was like half time of the Marine versus Tottenham match, and they showed the Crawley versus Leeds highlights from earlier on today. Crawley were like I think they're in the second League Two, and Leeds are obviously in the Premier League, and Crawley beat them 3-0. And this is how mad it's getting right now. You see all like you see all the commentators, and I think they all try and like outdo each other every single week to see who can come up with the most fucking weirdest, bizarrest facts, and they're constantly at it. And this is what happened. A guy scored earlier on, and this is the actual commentary. Like this, I haven't listened to this of what the commentator said.
A lovely run into the penalty area. Oh, what a goal! Crawley are ahead. Nick Cerula. Well, that's the best moment in his football career ever. The lad who didn't make it at Tottenham had a car crash in 2017, missed a year, and he has put Crawley ahead here against Leeds with a sensational goal.
There you go. He had a car crash and he was out for a year, and he used to be on loan at Tottenham or something. It's like every time we hear now, they're just coming up with the fucking weirdest facts, and they're like, "Oh, such a goal! Who believed it? This time 3 years ago he had 4 legs. Now he's only got 2. His dad sold a fridge last week on Facebook Marketplace. What a goal!" Fucking unbelievable. I tell you what, see, I'm going to do a commentary video. I actually have a commentary video of Ronnie O'Sullivan getting a 147 on YouTube. Go and watch that before it gets taken down. I did the whole frame, and I like sort of voiced over the commentary. So let me know what you think about that. And in the future, I would love to do stuff like that where you're commentating and just taking the piss out of stuff. That's my dream. That's the dream job, I think. So yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for checking out this. This is the video version. If you're listening to this, this is obviously the audio version. But check out either or. Maybe you've listened, or maybe you've watched the first 10 minutes, or in future you might only watch the first 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe as you're having your breakfast before work, you're having your morning brew. And what you could do then, watch the first 10 or 15 minutes, download the audio version, check out the rest of it in the car on the journey to work. Why not do that? It's very simple to do. All you have to do is search for Sean Hegarty Podcasts on your podcast provider. Make sure you subscribe, and as well as that there, if you'd like to donate to the show, very, very simple. Just go to www.ko-fi.com/hegpod. There's no subscription. There's no monthly contract. There's nothing. You can just send me £3, send me a £5, send me a £10, send me £20. I like to think that the people who can afford it pay for those who don't. And I know it's crazy, crazy dark times for a lot of people as well. So please don't be donating money if you can't afford it. Please only donate a few quid if you can't afford it, and it obviously goes a long way and is much appreciated. So we're just getting started. That's episode 1 in the bag, in the can, out of the way. Absolutely delighted, and delighted to be back entertaining you guys as well. Hopefully we'll be back next year with hopefully we'll be back next week with another episode. And in the meantime, stay safe, look after yourselves, and until next time, please don't get COVID, and just don't worry, be happy, smile, and try and be kind and spread positivity at every opportunity. I'm Sean Hegarty, Comedy Cabin, Episode 1. See you next week, Episode 2.